Microphone check. I've been trying to find a way to like sing into it a little bit every single time.
Do it, yes.
I tell people too, like, yeah, we're gonna do like 2 mic checks, and then when you hear me sing microphone check, and they're like, "What are you talking about?" Oh yeah, that. All right, yeah.
Look at that. And you should sign up for America Got Talent or so.
I should. You know what? I do love music, and I've been wanting to like write music, and I have a lot of stuff that I'm working on.
I think No, I haven't. On social media.
I've released like lyrics on social media. I haven't released anything else on social media.
Okay.
But I've wanted to get into it more and more. But my friend was telling me, he's like, yeah, if you got a shot to do like American Idol, America's Got Talent, he's like, take it, but then like release all your music right afterwards.
Right after.
He's
that's
like,
a good point. Yeah, that's a good way. Yeah.
If you think about like who like the stars that American Idol's made, it was like Kelly Clarkson.
Louis. A lot of Chris. I don't know. A lot of celebrities that they won, but.
And then they kind of right afterwards is like what happened.
Yeah.
I think Kelly Rowland. No, I don't remember. Like I don't think Kelly Rowland was. No, I'm thinking Fantasia.
I want to say my favorite is Harry Styles. Have you heard that Harry Styles perform in America's Got Talent, I believe, or British Got Talent?
I wasn't a huge fan of Harry Styles because I didn't listen to a ton of pop.
Yeah.
I listened to some of the stuff he's been doing recently. I'm a big fan of like I like when people make like weird music. When it's just like, oh, that's interesting, that's different. Like,
no, with him, what I didn't know is that he performed for that. He signed up for British Got Talent, and then he lost. And then, so it was a big bump. But I think this year he got an award from Grammy. He got a Grammy Awards for Best Year Album. So that was the big thing. That's why I look at it as like, okay, I wanna push it further.
But those like little, actually, hold on.
Oh,
I should introduce because I forgot to introduce.
We're going too far.
So go ahead. I'm here with the designer of Hummingbird. Introduce yourself, please.
Yes, my name's Lezette. I'm a fashion designer and owner of Hummingbird.
It's a brand that I found last year. So again, in my series of people that I should have talked to over the past 10 months, I honestly didn't realize. So I looked up the podcast one day because I started going to school and I had to catch up with all that. And then I looked at the podcast and I was like, oh man, I haven't released one for like, 2-3 months? And I was like, oh, 10? 10 months? I was like, oh my God, I gotta get back on it, man.
Oh no, that's too much.
Yeah. But I think what's interesting is like being able to catch up with people that I met at Fashion Week last year, because I know the Fashion Week is like a month or 2 away, and just seeing like what they're up to now.
Yes.
So I kind of like that it's like, there's been a lot of time to marinate.
Okay.
And that's like what you're saying about Harry Styles, about like, oh, he missed out on Britain's Got Talent, but he won a Grammy later. That's kind of how I am with like, what's the best we can make of this situation? Let's not get muddled up in the stuff that didn't go right.
Yeah.
Let's try to make the future right.
True.
So what have you been up to for the past 10 months?
10 months. 10 months has been so fast, but right now I'm working at Arizona Broadway Theater as a part-time job, so that's been keeping me busy.
Yeah.
While I'm working on my clothing line, but it's on and off. So I try to spend more time at Arizona Broadway Theater because I care about it, and we create costumes and we do a lot of alterations. It's very time consuming, and sometimes they would have me stay for several hours. But in the meantime, my clothing line, I'm working on that slowly. Everything all by myself. So I'm a fashion designer, technical designer. I create patterns from scratch, and then I would reach out to out of states in Mexico, especially in Mexico, to talk about the fabric qualities and the textures and how it's made. Yeah.
So last time we talked, you were doing a lot of. I saw that there's a lot of Mexican influence in your designs. And it sounds like that's still there, but you've kind of put your own spin on it with your own patterns too.
I would love to have it mix. I don't want to be just 100% Mexican
Right.
Outfit brand, but I want this to be I want everyone to wear my designs. Anyone who's interested or who loves the styles of like floral design or embroidery, etc. But yeah,
No, that makes sense. And like, I think that's something that I love, that idea of like making something that is important to you, your culture, but making it your own. Like, this is like, oh, this is how I would do it. You know, this is how I love that idea.
Yeah. So yeah, that's pretty much what I do. I create, and I would brainstorm of what I want for my next show, and I love to just go out and just see what I can find, so I can start creating my clothing line.
How has that changed with being at the Broadway Theater? You mentioned that you have like that you're working on costumes and alterations. Has that Broadway Theater like influenced your designs, or have you noticed that it goes the opposite way when you design costumes?
Not really.
Oh, okay.
No, not really. I mean, I love designing costumes. It's a lot of fun. I love playing with clays and a lot of sculptures, creating all that. But that's the art, and I love art. That I enjoy working with them. But my brand is something, I want to say, artistic looking, not for the theater. I don't know how to explain it.
Oh, okay.
So I want to say that my clothing is more of what I visualize, what I love to do, and what I inspire based on what other people loves to do.
It kind of sounds like the difference between someone who like paints houses and someone who like paints pictures, like paints portraits.
Yeah. So think of it as in like, I'm a dentist, but I love working at the dentist, but on the opposite, I love art.
Okay. And those things, I think it's really interesting because sometimes those things come together in ways you didn't expect.
Yeah.
Like my thing when I was in the Army too, I worked IT. And so I have 7 years of IT experience, and I've noticed that, because I do love art as well, and I've noticed that when I design websites for people, like I did one for my mom, I did one for a couple people I know, and I'm doing one for my girlfriend right now. And I've noticed that I kind of like, oh, okay, how can I do this artistically, but also with this technical knowledge?
Yes.
And I think that's the most interesting thing, is like things that you don't think would go together.
Yes.
And they do. You
Yeah.
know, like,
but best believe that working with them at the theater, I did learn a few tricks, so it does help. Yes, I love working with them because they have different techniques, and that I can use those. I can steal those techniques and put it in my design. You know?
That's cool.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I guess you could say that it sort of it helped.
That's something interesting, because my brother, he wants to be a screenwriter, and so he's written a few scripts, and so I started watching some of the videos that he would send on YouTube, like, oh, this is how you write a script, this is how you do this, and I noticed that when I would write my lyrics, they would get more cinematic, based on like, oh, okay, so if I'm gonna, because he would tell me like little things like, well, if you're gonna talk about this, why don't you introduce it here? And I'm like, well, that's not really how music works. It's like, well, why not? And I'm like, oh, shit, he's right, you know?
Yeah,
like,
see, it's nice to just to talk about it, just like how we are explaining to each other right now, and I'm learning something from you just like a couple minutes ago. That's
the thing that I think everybody has a purpose in life, but I don't think everybody's purpose is necessarily like, oh, I have to do X, Y, Z. I think my purpose, and I've thought this for a couple years, is to show people different perspectives. And so if I can like show someone, but I don't necessarily want it to be like me lecturing people. You know, like that's kind of the balance for me.
But you're actually lecturing me. You didn't realize that, but there's some few things that I didn't know.
It comes from coaching. I coach track at my old high school now, and I coach basketball and football in Tempe. And so coming from coaching, that coaching world, I notice how it's influenced how I talk too. And like there's times that I'm like, ah, damn, am I talking too much right now?
No, it's great. I mean, I'm learning a lot from everyone. Every new faces I learn from them. And with all of that, I just gather all that information, just throw it in my brand, and that's the best thing about it. That I going out, introduce myself, participate in a lot of events, shows, podcasts, etc. It's I throw everything in my designs and just go for it and just work.
So what's the biggest thing that you've learned as far as, since last Fashion Week? And I'm not sure if you're like how involved you will be at this year's, but as far as like with it coming up, like with that kind of year mark coming up, what have you noticed that you've learned?
What I've learned, I learned that during the Phoenix Fashion Week, I didn't know anything about marketing, and if Brian was being a bit pushy, but in a good way. So, but thankfully, during that boot camp, I did learn a lot from that marketing, and I used that information that we learned during that boot camp, and I use that for my outside. I use it for manufacturers and to communicate with other fabrics and other fashionistas around. So I've been spending a lot of time in marketing, trying to learn more, and I've been reading books. I've been going through YouTube videos, tutorials, and so that's one thing that I learned is to manage your market. You learn how to work with price and how to communicate with your customers, buyers. So that's one thing I learned is communication.
It's that communication is different.
Really?
No. As far as like learning it is so different because you might think like, well, I can talk to people, and then it's like, well, can you?
No, yeah. So designing, I know how to design.
Right.
I can throw that away. But for me, in managing how to do marketing and be organized it's what I learned from them, and to me it's important, so I can see how much shirts I need to make for the customers. So because if I talked to one of the manufacturers and they asked me for example, how many shirts in small do you need? I said, at first I told them I'm not quite sure how much is it, and then they told me about the prices, and I don't know. I said I don't know. Can you just throw it in 25 shirts? And it turns out it came out total of more than $2,000. $2,000. So I kind of blew it out because I told them, okay, do 25 small shirts, and then we'll see how I can manage. And I want to say very few, not so many customers has purchased, but because I haven't been calculating based on my level and how much I haven't been participating as much as I should be for these during 10 months. But so I feel like I should have just lowered it down.
Yeah, but I mean, it's one of those lessons that you learned it now.
Yes,
it's hard to beat yourself up over that because now you're like, oh, okay, 25 is way too many.
Yeah.
And hopefully in a couple of years, 25 won't be nearly enough.
Yeah. So that's a bummer. Yeah.
It sounds like, I mean, the marketing thing is interesting because I was just talking to one of the photographers that we met last year, RJ, and he was talking about how one of the hardest things that he had to learn was like social media. Because we all think of it like, oh yeah, I can goof off on Instagram for a while, and it's like, no, that's not really how it works,
I'm working on that with the social media. You have no idea. I have a lot of my friends and other designers tell me, so I've noticed you've been a little bit MIA on the social media. Like, I'm working on that. I'm working on it. But yeah, it's just that I'm trying to see... I'm trying to just rearrange my schedule, like, okay. Yeah. But then sometimes I would forget, or sometimes I don't have time because it's a lot of editing videos. I'm not a pro with editing videos.
Yeah, no, I don't. My dad will edit audio. Well, he's edited a couple of videos, and my mom, she does photography, so she's good at editing pictures. But one of the things is, like, I have a friend who is a producer who could edit audio, and I've messed with it a little bit before. Like, we did one podcast where it was way too loud, so I had to like learn how to isolate everything. It was hard.
And then plus you have to make sure that the quality is really good, so that you can get the attention.
Yeah.
and that's what I'm trying to do. And but the good thing is that I recently went to an event, a meeting a couple weeks ago in college. I'm quite not sure what the name of the college, but it's from what I learned from them is that they have an AI where you can just type it in to say how to edit video and come out viral, and then it gives you tons of lists of how to make videos in a proper way. So that's a huge help for me. So that's what I'm working on right now.
And it is something where I think a lot of people think that they have to have it all together when they first start, and you really don't.
No.
You know, you really don't. Like, I re-listened to my first podcast. I was messing with all my stuff, and I was trying to upload everything to YouTube. And I listened to my first podcast, and I was like, oh, sweet Jesus, that's bad.
You're right. Yes. I remember. We all been there. Our first video, and you're just thinking to yourself, like, why did I say that? Why?
Yeah.
I'm sure that I'm gonna be looking at this podcast in the future and be like, why did I say that?
Oh yeah, and I think that awareness of knowing that, like, hey man, in 5-10 years I'm gonna be like, oh god, man, I can't believe I
can't
said
believe
that.
it. Yeah.
And then, but knowing that, you're like, I can be that more open version of myself. You know, I can be that person that I want to be here. That's what I think is like. With me, I'm like, hey man, I'm gonna grow out of this, and if I even remember that I said something like that, you know.
Yeah.
So, what do you, as far as like what you've been designing? Have you? Okay, so I'll just say. So I talked to Carlos, who, you know, he's one of the guys in my collective, and he said that he's kind of switched his focus from, when I first met him, he was like printing T-shirts, and now he's doing a lot more prints, and he's doing a lot more. He wants to do luxury stylings, but he also wants to do like a real cut and sew brand as well. So he's kind of like branching off.
Wow.
Have you noticed that you've changed your style, or that anything's been different, or how do you define yourself in that sense?
Yes, so actually as years pass by, first year I started as something very plain suits. I was really focused in menswear and wearing just plain suits, what you wear in business.
Yeah.
But now I got into the fashion world, and then I start to gather all the information from other designers and I'm starting to love their art, and that's when I shifted a little and slowly start to mix up the suits, put in like a peekaboo outfit, so it's something different that you don't see every day.
Yeah.
So yeah, I noticed that, and then my family, they always tell me that you should just. I know you seem like you're pretty stuck in the simple outfits. I feel like you should just break it and then just go with the crazy outfit.
Wait, they're telling you to go further? Because most families tell you, like, oh, I don't know, like, and they'll try to reel you back in, but your family's telling you to go further?
They told me to just go for it, but
that's so cool. That's so
because
cool.
What I've noticed is that my family, they've always been supportive.
That's
they've
cool.
always so fun fact about my dad's side, my dad's family are in Puebla.
Okay.
Puebla, Mexico.
Yeah.
And what I didn't know is that they have this. My grandma's house is not so far from the a warehouse place where they make leather made out of cactus.
Oh, whoa. That's really
made out of cactus. So my parents told me, you should go and reach out to that guy, the brothers. Forgot the company again. But you should go and talk to them and see and learn from them, and maybe you can collaborate and use that opportunity to create your collection. And I said, I didn't know about that. Okay, so they've been like very outgoing and
really
supportive,
cool.
and then throwing me some ideas using all the information that they know in their village.
Right.
So
I love that, because you usually hear a lot of parents, and I get why. You know, I used to like hate it, because, you know, I would hear like, oh, well, like, don't you think you should work like a real, like, you know, we all kind of hear that at one point, but and I get why a parent would be nervous to, like, you know, but just to hear somebody be like, I don't think you're taking it far enough, like, and it's like your dad or your mom, it's like, that's so cool.
At the beginning, during my college, during my school year, they were very chill and said, okay, as long as you get an A, that's all I care. But after graduating, and then when during those years, they start to tell me, I think you need to be more creative, and then start breaking into little pieces, and maybe they will pay attention to your style, your designs. I said, okay. But then I hear my other friends would tell me the opposite. They want something simple. I say, well, I'm not going anywhere. I mean, I can't decide whether you want, do people really want a simple, plain suits, let's just put it there, or do other customers would prefer very different techniques, like vibrant colors and asymmetrical, geometrical way. So that was my question, and I feel like I'm just, as what a lot of people would say, you just have to believe believe in yourself and listen to your family. Yeah. So, I
mean, and so what do you like more?
I feel like
because I feel like you appreciate both.
Yes, it's like on and off, but I feel like I should go based on what's trending this year.
Okay.
So, for example, this year here in Arizona, it's all hot. We all know. Okay, so I got to figure out what I can do to feel the shirt, to make the shirt more light, or feel light, or to feel the breeze inside. But I don't want to make it too plain. So that's one thing that I needed to do my little research on how to break it, like how to make a crazy shirt, but at the same time feel that it's going to be very helpful for that customer.
Right. And I think when you look at suits and things like that, what I've noticed is, so I mentioned before, I grew up in Hawaii, and back home we don't really wear suits like that. They have like the Aloha shirts, like they'll literally say like, oh, it's Aloha Friday, everybody wears their Aloha shirts and slacks. My brother right now, he lives in New York, and he was telling me, so he's going to school there, so it's a little bit different for him, but he was telling me that like once you get into the city, he's like, yeah, the boots and the, you know, all that stuff, it's not really like a fashion statement. And he's like, yo, when it's, you know, 20 degrees in the winter, and yeah, you got to wear those stuff. So I thought it was interesting because it is a lot more functional than people think. And hey, man, I saw so many people walking around when we walked in wearing like suits and stuff. I'm like, it's 107 out there, my guy.
I know a few of my friends wearing that they would wear jackets in the middle of summer.
I got mad that I wore the Adidas, like the track pants today, because I was looking at I was like, oh dang, I gotta do laundry, bro. And I was like, all right, these won't be that heavy, man. I can roll with it. Like, we'll be inside, I'll be all right. But that's interesting because I'm hearing from more and more people. Carlos has mentioned it, and a couple of my other friends have mentioned that designing for Arizona is hard. You know, in Los Angeles, you have the ocean, so you know it will stay relatively cool. And New York, obviously, you have your four seasons. You know, Chicago, same thing.
Yeah.
But Arizona, my buddy back in high school, he goes, we got hot, windy, cold, and dusty.
Those
are the four
never
seasons.
snow.
No.
Yeah. No, I agree. That's why I have to. This is my hometown, Arizona. It's my town, my state.
Do you want to stay here? Like,
no,
I mean, travel.
I want to travel.
Right.
Yeah.
But would you keep Phoenix as the home base?
Home base, yes.
Cool.
But I would like to participate more out
yeah,
of state,
for sure.
And put my name out and have stores all over the states.
Yeah, of course.
But no, yes, it's what you said. I would love to have this as my home base.
Yeah.
And to start, I feel like I need to focus on just the Arizona, like what people wear here.
I think you're right.
And then once I go out of state, or if I want to have like a store, let's say in New York, okay, that's a little different. Nobody's gonna be wearing a tank top shirt on the middle of the. Maybe they are, but right.
And what I think, what my friend told me was, I got it. Like I said, I got a few friends who are musicians, and one of them like owns restaurant. I got a friend who owns a restaurant, and I just have like weird creative people I know that I've just like met, like just like around. Like one guy, I met him when he was an Uber driver, and he's a producer now, and he's worked on like big, like with big artists. And he was telling me one day, he's like, bro, you just got to make what you want to hear. Because again, music producer, but talking to Carlos the other day, he said the same thing. He's like, I make clothes that I want to wear. And I think hearing that, like, I don't think you can go wrong with that.
I don't think there's no right or wrong with that. No. Like what you see on the runway show, it's completely, the style is completely different. I feel like it's completely different based on what I'm wearing.
Right.
I like to wear something plain, but I love to just throw out my crazy ideas on stage. But
okay.
So that's.
I feel like that made it stand out though.
Yeah.
Like you saw, like, because you were wearing something that wasn't like your designs were very, very loud, and that's what the cool thing was. Like you let the design speak for you. It's like, listen, I don't gotta,
No, they were pretty. One of the team from Phoenix Fashion Week, they were telling me you should have wore something different that matches your collection. And I said, well, I already throw my ideas out on the runway, but we'll see.
It's kind of like when, the way that I liken it, I had a lot of friends with, when I was in the Army that would work on cars. And so, one of my friends, he had like all the stuff. He had the tinted windows, big spoiler, neon lights, like all that. Another one of my friends, he didn't do anything to the outside. No? He put all his money in the inside of the car. So it was like the engine was crazy, the transmission was crazy, like all that, like the brakes, like he put all of it just into like what actually mattered to him. And so the car looked stock. That thing touched 200, but it looked stock. And like to me, that's what it's like. It's like why don't I let the design speak for me? Instead of I don't need to say nothing.
Yeah.
I can let the designs I can put all that into the designs, and I'll just be back here wearing the hoodie and shorts, man.
Yes, I can just wear my pajama on stage, and here I am. But this is my collection, but here I am wearing my pajama.
I think it shows a cool duality too, because you're able to kind of show like, hey, this is what's going on up here. But over here, like, it's a different look. This is something that, I don't have to be loud. I don't want to be loud. This is what's going to be loud. I think that's really cool.
I agree with that. Yeah, of course, there's they were telling me you should have at least tried just wear one time. And yeah, it is true. But it's like I feel like I go more with I need to focus more with my my brand and of course they get to know what I can do and who I am. So yeah.
Me and RJ yesterday, we talked a lot about. He was talking about not wanting to be the flashy guy, and he said I'd rather be the guy that people know me for my work than my antics or for my attitude or for something like that. Mm-hmm. And when I was younger, I was like, and it's still to an extent I'm like this, but when I was younger, I was definitely like, man, if I'm the best, everybody's gonna fucking know. Like, I'm gonna talk about shit. Like, and to an extent, I'm still like that. I still think you need to tell people like, hey, I'm good at this. Like, I know what I'm doing here. But as I get older, I start to see more and more that it's like, you don't really have to. Yeah. It helps. Like, sometimes it helps, but you don't really have to be that loud about yourself.
You learn by time. With timing, you learn from everyone and yourself, and then whatever you see around you, you learn from it. Right. So that's the best part. Yeah. So that's what I'm doing. As each year I learn new, and I want to use that little piece and add it in my collection. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. So you mentioned that you start out with menswear. Have you started doing more women's wear? Because in
Phoenix Fashion Week, because I already have all the information of just the women's wear and female models, I kind of used all the information for this year because it's already been prepared.
So you will be back at Phoenix Fashion Week this year?
Phoenix Fashion Week just to come and visit.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. But I will be performing.
So you'll be there, but not necessarily Hummingbird.
No, not as Hummingbird. Okay. But I will be throwing my collection in next week and in LA too.
Oh yeah, we talked about that a bit.
I think
yeah,
yes.
A long time ago we messaged.
Yeah, a long time.
This has been something I've been trying to get done for like 6 months. I'm like, oh, we got to talk soon, and then like 4 months later, I'm like, ah, shit, man, I didn't see that message.
Yeah.
So, and that to me was something that I was very interested in. Was like hearing like, oh, okay, it's Phoenix, then it's LA, then hopefully it's New York or Milan or Paris or something like that. But
I hope so. Milan and Paris, that's my go-to.
Tokyo's been coming up too.
In Tokyo, and I'm going to Tokyo.
Tokyo's been low key,
I'm going to Tokyo in November, but just on vacation.
So sick.
But on vacation, but it would be nice.
So cool.
Yes, now that you reminded me, I'm going to go and just explore around and try to introduce myself to certain
check out
fashion.
Harajuku and Shibuya. Yeah, you got to go there. So
Shibuya, we're going to Shibuya. That's definitely okay.
It's so cool. That place is so cool. So a couple years ago, my dad went to a business school out here, and they do like these like get-togethers every year. So one year they were in Sweden or Norway. They were in Norway, but we went to Norway and Sweden because my dad's Swedish, and so my dad's of Swedish descent. So like 5 or 6 generations back, they're from Sweden. We actually met like our great-grandparents' cousins out there.
Yeah.
It was weird.
Oh.
My dad found them on Facebook, and like we just hung out for a day at a museum. It was cool.
That's interesting. Wow.
What was interesting about Sweden and Norway, like you said, is very plain. It was a lot of like sweat, like neutral colors. So it was like a green sweater and then like a white shirt and then like khaki pants,
Yeah,
and then when we moved, we didn't move, but when we went to Sweden, it was completely different. Like there were guys that like, I remember I was walking around and I wasn't nearly as tattooed as I am now, and I had like a Bulls hat on, and this guy walked up to me, and he goes, "Yo, man," and I'm like, again, like in Sweden, you don't expect to hear that, but he goes, "Yo, man, you look like you like hip hop," and I was like, it's kind of fucked up, but like you're not wrong. Like, and he took me to a record shop, and like the graffiti scene and the music scene, it's completely different.
Oh, that is different.
Right?
Yeah.
It was like so different, and so because I was like, okay, cool, like it's, but the clothes that they were wearing was like a lot of straight cuts and a lot of like, not tight fits, but like everything was very fitted, very European style. We went to Japan, I think maybe the next year or a year later, and it was like everybody was very, very, it was weird. It was like they were all comfortable, but it was extremely fashionable.
I've never been to Japan. This would be my first time.
It's gonna blow your mind, I feel. Like, because it is a lot of like what you were saying, like the designs were plain, but then you'd see a woman in like an asymmetrical dress, and you're like, yo, okay, cool.
Yeah, and that's why I love Tokyo, especially when it comes to fashion, because you go walk around on the sidewalk, on the street, and you see and it's like you said, they are so comfortable. They look so comfortable, but they look so good. And I'm over here. Okay, I gotta like break it.
And now you feel underdressed.
Yeah.
You're like, damn.
Yeah. From what I heard, rumors is that even to take out the trash, they dress nice just to take out the trash. So that's fascinating about learning.
What's interesting too, when we were out there, because I'm a sneakerhead, so I'm like looking at people's shoes. Like when we were in Shibuya and when we were in Harajuku, there's like a Supreme there. So I'm not even the biggest Supreme fan, but I like walked in, I'm like, all right, what's up with all this? And I checked out some stuff. There's some cool stuff there, but they had like a Nike and stuff there. But when I was looking at the shoes, I noticed like a lot of the sneakers that it would be like the Adidas Stan Smiths and Nike Air Force One, so very simple.
I've seen those a lot.
But a lot of all the women were wearing heels, and I was like, you're walking a lot in Tokyo, so they would get them a size up.
Oh.
Right?
Oh.
Because while you're walking that much, like your feet are gonna,
Yeah, you get tired.
Yeah, and so I was like, that's wild. That like even down to the I need to get a size up for the heels. I need to do this. It's a really interesting place.
Oh yes, it's completely different compared to here in America. So yeah.
Best fried chicken I've ever had there too.
Yeah.
I don't know how, but it was like this little ramen shop that was like right next to the hotel.
I think everything is all about noodles.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
Listen, man, you're
I'm
not
okay
wrong,
with
and it was so good.
So I'm excited for that.
We ran into a McDonald's on the way, I think when we flew in, and my mom was like, hey, can we just get some food, like somewhere? And I was like, no, let's go to Tokyo. And my brother's girlfriend, she was like, oh, there's McDonald's right here. And we had given her such a hard time about going to McDonald's overseas. But then we went to one in Germany, and it was like, they had like truffles on a Big Mac, and I was like, I forgot that they changed their menu by region in McDonald's.
That is
I swear the McNuggets tasted like tempura.
Yeah.
They were so good, man.
No, yeah. It's I believe it because everything in different places they change.
Yeah.
Yeah. From like I said, I've never gone to. This would be my first time going to Japan, out of country.
What other countries have you been? You mentioned Mexico, but
Mexico. That's it.
Was it?
That's it. Yeah. Here I went to. Well, it's within the U.S. It's Virgin Island, and
that's kind of
on and on. Yeah.
I feel you, because it is technically, but like that's different.
Yeah. Well, I guess.
It's like Puerto Rico.
Okay.
Like it's different in
It's slightly past. And Mexico. That's it. That's it. So yeah, but it's like you said that in Tokyo, I know that I'm gonna feel different once I step in.
Oh yeah.
And hopefully, I'm pretty sure it's gonna be in a good way. Yeah.
Yeah. When are you going?
November.
Oh yeah, that's a good time to go
to
too.
celebrate my birthday.
Oh, happy birthday! Because I'm not
my
sure.
My sister and I, our birthday.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Happy birthday! Because I don't see you in the next 2 months. You're gonna love Tokyo.
Oh, thank you. I'm gonna be bugging you to see which places you recommend me. So yeah.
I think I still got people out there, just people that like, oh yeah, no, I do. So one of the guys that I met out there, he was in the military. He met his wife out there. Very common military story. You know? He met his wife out there, and he just didn't leave.
Oh.
And so he just stayed there. I think he has Japanese citizenship. He has like 2 or 3 kids. And I was like, yeah. So like, would you ever move back to America? He's like, nah, man, I love it here. He's like, the only thing I don't love is having to wake up at like 3 a.m. to watch NBA games. But other than that,
yeah.
He's like, that's the only thing I don't really like. But whatever.
Time zone. Yeah, I forgot.
I think you'll like it though. It's such an interesting city because, like, it's so weird. So like landing in Tokyo Airport, there was like a bunch of Pokemon Go stuff.
Yes.
And walking around in Harajuku, we saw like all the anime shit that you see, like all that shit. Like I'm like, oh, it's real. Like this.
And
is
I'm not
like
into anime, but I want to go.
I
want to go. Yeah.
It's different because it's almost like. It's like seeing just like if somebody did like a Bugs Bunny thing here, you know what I mean? Like it's just that sort of thing. Or like in LA, how like in LA, how everything is when you realize like, oh hey, I'm in like Hollywood. Like this is like where it's like seeing that, but it's just so normal.
It's really normal.
It's so normal. It's so cool.
It's like I said, I'm not into those anime, but I would love to go and I want to try there's a subway station where you can scan it and it makes a noise, a Pikachu noise. So I just want to go check it out.
Thing, man. It's so cute.
Yeah, so it's different. So I hopefully I get to learn from in Tokyo and hopefully participate there. So yeah.
That would be really cool to like, oh, I went in 2023, now in 2024 I'm at Tokyo, you know.
Yeah.
I really think you'll like it. Were there any other places that you wanted to go as far as like?
I think what every fashion designer's dream of is to attend at Paris Fashion Week.
Okay.
Yeah, so I would love to go there. Of course, it's too expensive for me, but
would you go? Do you think it makes more sense to go as like just an observer, or even like go to Paris during Fashion Week? Not necessarily as like just like checking out everything.
Check out.
Yeah.
I think that would, I mean, just so I get to know around the place and get to know the people. So yeah, I mean that's exactly what I did in LA. I didn't know anything about LA fashion until I stepped in and I attended at the LA Fashion Week in March.
Okay.
Just to see how it looks, and I enjoyed it. But now this time I'm gonna be participating.
That's so cool.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward.
When's that? Is it, so that's this coming March then?
No, it's October. It's October 14th.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I wasn't sure because I know that I think they have 2 fashion weeks, don't they?
In LA, yes. March and October.
Okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
so that's pretty soon too.
So, yeah, well, we'll see how that happens. Hopefully there won't be any changes because they can change. They can change. They would put me as, okay, I'm sorry, Lezette, not October, we're going to move you to March. I was like, why? No, but they haven't said anything yet, but they have the right.
Yeah, just kind of.
Knocking on wood. Yeah.
I'm interested. So, besides that, when you went to that, had you been to LA before?
In general, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you kind of knew like the fashion of the city.
Yeah, the beach and all that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It's weird how it changes like by like neighborhood, right?
Oh my gosh.
It's so weird, right?
You know, I haven't gone to LA for a year now, but I heard that a lot of things has changed.
I'm going actually Friday and Saturday. My girlfriend, she's never been, so she wanted. I know, right?
Where is she from?
Vancouver.
Okay.
Still, though.
Well, I mean.
Still, though, like. LA,
Yeah,
it's kind of a
at
big
least
city.
you know LA, so that gets,
Oh yeah.
Okay,
I was like, all right, listen,
I'm sure
man.
she'll love it.
I was like, listen, man. Here's what we're doing for the food. Here's what we're doing. Like, we hit up this spot. We hit up this spot. Like,
I don't think. Yeah, the food is a must. Anywhere you go, you have to try the food. Yeah. But no, it's nice over there in LA. Yeah.
I miss the beach. That's the one big thing. Like, I miss the beach, and I love how weird Santa Monica is because it's like.
I think yeah.
Like the pier and everything like that. And then, like, I go there all the time. Like whenever I'm out there, I go out there. I got a few friends out there, so it's always like I'll like link up with some people. But it's just I love it there because there's so much life. It's just like when I show up there, there's like an energy about it.
Every state has different energy.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but it's just maybe I don't know. Arizona. What do you feel about Arizona? What's your energy? I feel like it's very mellow, chill.
I think so. It's funny. Me and RJ talked about this yesterday for a long time. I think Tucson is underrated. There's a lot of art in Tucson, and people just don't talk about it. If Tucson was in a nicer like part of the state, like Sedona is, I think people would talk about Tucson like Sedona. But Sedona's up in the mountains and Tucson's down in the, Tucson's like, I think it's like literally in a valley, you know what I mean? So, when I look at Arizona, my big thing that I've noticed is, the one thing that I hate, that I actually don't like, is that it seems like Arizona wants to beat LA so bad. And it's just like, don't even think about beating them, just be Phoenix.
I honestly think the same, because you've heard that Arizona is growing fast, and
I've heard that for 10 years though, and I'm like, where is it?
A lot of things has changed, and I guess it's a good way, but yeah, there's some pros and cons, but yeah, I feel like there's some competition going on between Arizona or other states, such as like for example, LA.
I think if we were being honest about who Phoenix is competing with, I don't think it's LA. I think it's Vegas. I think Vegas is going to be a huge deal here.
I heard it's the opposite.
Really?
Because I think, where have I heard? It's from some radio that I heard that Las Vegas, they announced that we're going to be better than Arizona. I'm talking about for the Super Bowl. Yeah. So they're saying that we're going to do so much things, so much cool stuff, that we're going to be better than Arizona. And I think that they're competing, they're throwing stuff at us, but either way, it's.
I'm interested because, like, at the end of the day, like, it's not like we're not going to fight anybody. You know what I mean? Like,
no.
But I think it's interesting because I think when you think West Coast, you think San Francisco, LA, sometimes Seattle. But I see Phoenix kind of being that, LA's weird because LA has like 150 years of history, and we can't catch up. Like, Phoenix can't catch up with it. You just can't. It's like comparing like Rome to, well, in Rome they have this, and this, and it's been around for 5,000 years. And where's that in the U.S.? Like, we don't have it. We don't have that history, and it's okay. But I think what Phoenix could be, music-wise, I'm shocked that there's not a bigger EDM scene out here.
No, huh? No.
I mean, that would be the one thing.
Las Vegas or California.
Yeah. And I think EDM, like, you got on they have shows out here.
Yeah.
And one of the things that me and RJ talked about yesterday was like, you know, because he was like, oh, I think they need a rapper to come out of Arizona. I'm like, dude, I think if you had a big Latin artist from Arizona, like how, you know, Bad Bunny's from Puerto Rico, and I think if you had like a big, you know, somebody like that from Arizona, I think you'd see the music scene completely change.
I think so. It's just like you said, we're growing slow, but there's no there shouldn't be any competition, by the way. But yeah, it's exactly the same. I think
too, like fashion-wise, it does get too hot to design a lot of things. So now everybody's wearing t-shirts and shorts, you know, or button up and shorts. And I think that's one thing fashion-wise that's why New York and Paris and Milan and Tokyo and LA, like those big fashion weeks, that's why they have good climates for that. You know, London it rains every day, so who cares? You know, like,
surprisingly, there was rain and thunder last night.
There was.
So I was surprised.
My dog was pissed.
No.
So my dog is funny. He's a guard. He's a Rhodesian Ridgeback, so he looks like an African Greyhound, and like they were bred to like fend away lions, right? So he looks like he's like kind of like like his bark is like I've seen it scare people. Like we were walking, he like just somebody like jumped, and I was like, why'd you do that?
Because they're not used to it. They're not used to this.
But then when he gets so nervous around rain. So when it starts raining, like there was one day I left and it was raining. I came home. He was under my covers in my bed, and I was like, look at this big baby dog, man. You thought you were so tough, and you're just, you know.
I mean, yes. I mean, you live and learn from them, but yeah, the dogs are like.
He doesn't. My other dog doesn't care. She's cool. She'll just like sit outside in the rain.
Are they all born here?
No. Well, one we had to get from San Diego. The other one we had to get from Texas.
Oh, well.
But still, it's not
yeah,
like.
Still. Okay.
I'm interested in seeing, because there are some people that were considering like, oh, like, you know, if my brother stays in New York, do we bring the dogs out there? Like, if, you know, my parents go to Chicago, what do we do? I'm very excited to see how they act in like snow. Or like on the beach,
yes.
You know.
I never. My dog has never touched snow, so I'm curious about that too.
Take him up to Flagstaff, see what happens.
I have a little hot dog, so we'll see how that goes. She might get lost.
I had a little Maltipoo. She was half Maltipoo. She was this big, and she would go with me everywhere. So when I lived in Tempe, I used to take her to the barbershop with me, and I remember we took her out in the snow one time. And she literally walked outside and like tried to eat the snow for a little bit, and then barked at me to come back inside because it was too cold. So we had to put a little jacket on her, and then she went outside in the snow again. I'm like, what a weird dog.
Hey, what I actually have now that you brought that that coat, all my leftover fabrics that I have in my closet, I use them for accessories, including dogs. Outfits.
That's awesome.
Yeah, because I do have a lot of leftover
That's a really
fabrics.
good idea.
Yeah. So I do have a lot of leftover fabrics. I'm like, what am I gonna do? I can't just. I feel bad throwing those away. So I just come up with an idea. Like I might as well make them accessories for us and for your pets.
Some of your dogs got a nice suit too.
So now it's like a part of the. Now I can add on my little label there. So yeah, and that's a cool thing. It's not. I'm not into. I guess you can say. I'm pretty focused in sustainability and and eco stuff.
That's important.
So and I'm learning because I don't. There's a lot of things that I'm still learning and that I don't know, but that's what I'm trying to do is that I'm trying not to throw stuff my leftover fabrics.
Yeah.
And I want to use that fabric or clothes that I'm not gonna use or that no longer fits me, and then remix or mix it up with something with accessories.
That's
so
cool.
yeah.
One of my good friends, they have a business. I'll link her to on Instagram, but they have a business where they take they literally turn trash into treasure. So their art business is like they use trash and they'll like bike tires and stuff like that, and they'll make art out of it.
I believe it.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
It's such a cool idea to and it helps out. Is it on a grand scheme? I know, there's still a lot of issues, but just that little bit of what can I do? And I think that's important.
No, it isn't. Oh, yes, because I wonder, like I said, I don't want to throw stuff away. I want to reuse or help someone else.
Yes.
Is there anyone that needs water bottle. Like I don't want to like throw it out. I'm sure someone out there needs a water bottle. So yeah, it's nice to learn from those and then learn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that's interesting too, because now you have like, what would a Mexican luxury label focused on like sustainability? That's interesting. Like, there's a lot there.
And then you heard. I mean, we heard about rumors of designers such as Coco Chanel that they use, or I think they don't no longer use animals.
Yeah.
Or I'm not sure they still do, or maybe secretly.
I know this. I know what you're talking about. A lot of them have stopped using like regular leather and stuff.
Now I'm starting to see that they're less and less used. But now things. What I love about this generation is that a lot of designers are starting to turn and spend more time in recyclable and reusable, you know. So and I'm in for it.
And making clothes that last too. Like that's the biggest thing. If you can make, you know, the nicest clothes ever, but if they only hold up after, you know, a wash or 2 washes or like 2 wears, you know what I mean? Like it's not sustainable. You can't make it work.
No. But that's the. I mean, it's awesome. It's awesome.
That's really cool.
Out of like I explained to you before, in Puebla, the leather made out of cactus.
Yeah, I love that idea. That's such a cool idea.
I am obsessed with that. Like I have to go meet them. But yeah, I'm trying to stay away from skins or anything that mixed with chemicals or stuff. But it's nice to just. I would like to go out and learn from other manufacturers, the fabric warehouses, and learn from them. And I'm sure there's other fabric stores that they have different method to use to create a fabric rather than using like made out of fur or made out of in chemicals that's gonna harm our health or so. So
because you don't want to have stuff like that. I mean. Just the things that, even like my generation, you know, me being 29, even the things that like, some of the things that we used to like just be okay with, as far as like, oh yeah, you know, we'll just throw that away, we'll just do this, and like recycling, why would we recycle, like who cares? And now like, the kids now are like, you're not gonna recycle that? You know, because I coach kids, I coach like from middle schoolers to high schoolers, and like there's been some times where like, oh coach, you know you can recycle that bottle, right? And I'm like, yeah, I know, but I didn't know where the recycle was. Oh, it's over there.
So now it's the opposite.
Yeah, but it's important, like you were saying, to like, you have to learn from everywhere. Because if you're like, man, who's this fucking kid, man? I'm like, shut up. Then you're not helping anything. But if you're like, oh, okay, cool. Like there are things that I didn't even think about, you know?
Yeah. It's exactly what you said. That even the kids are teaching me how to do this, how to do that. Like you're not supposed to throw the basketball like that. You throw the ball this way. Like okay. But no, it's great to listen. It's nice to learn and listen, be open and understand that okay, maybe this is the right thing. I'm gonna do it this way from what this kid's teaching me.
You know what? So I stopped using right and wrong in that sense. So what I'll tell people now is like, hey, are you doing the correct thing or the right thing? Because to me, the correct thing is like, well, you go to school and then then you go to college and then you get married and then you find a job and then like that's like the correct what people want you to do.
Yeah.
That's not the right thing for everybody.
Not everyone.
So like some people, that is what they're supposed to be doing. But like if your right thing is different from somebody else's right thing, you know, and if you know what that right thing is, and that right thing can change.
That's true. Yeah.
So now you're like, oh man, well this might have been the right way for me to design or do this or do that 3 years ago. Is it still the right way for me to do that? Maybe not.
That's why it's good to question yourself.
It is. It
but
is. Not second guess, but make sure that you're open to like learning.
But it just depends on what your plan is, what your goal you're hitting.
So what would your goal be?
So
you mentioned Paris Fashion Week, so like
of course, go show my face all around, but more importantly, I would like to keep my clothes to be sustainable or eco-friendly as much as possible. I know it's not going to be 100%, but I'm trying to get in there and make the world change, because you've seen a lot of recyclable, like water bottles, trash thrown in the lake. We got to do something about it. Like, I know you can use those bottles and reuse it for something else. And so that's what I'm trying to do, is spend more time on how I can help them, how I can clean the community while I launch my brand.
And it seems to you, and this is something interesting, you haven't mentioned money or fame or anything like that once. Obviously, you want to like live off your stuff, you know.
Yeah, never mentioned about money. It's just that money. Of course, you need money to pay your rent, pay bills.
But it's not even like I'll get paid. But like anyway, let's fix things. That's cool.
So that's what I'm really into. Is that I want to make a change. I want to help them, but also I need money to pay my bills.
Right.
And pay my helpers there. So yeah.
But even like with the fame, all you mentioned was it would be cool to be at Paris Fashion Week, because that is like the pinnacle. That is like, that's the Olympics, that's the Super Bowl, that's that's the Grammys, that is the top.
What do they say? It's nice to have when like for those people who are already rich, but they're very humble.
Yeah.
It's nice to have a little it's nice to spend a huge amount of money of whatever you want to spend on, like a Bugatti. I'm just gonna say, I'm not really familiar with vehicles, but yeah, like Bugatti. So yeah, it's nice because you work so hard and you might as well just go for it. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
But it's always important to never forget where you're coming from and get to know your people and get to just have fun with your job. Yeah.
That's good. I think I'm excited. I'm really, really excited to see what you come up with. I'm excited to see the LA Fashion Week and how things change and beyond, how how things are gonna get. It's only gonna go up from here.
Yes. I know some celebrities would prefer a real diamond, an outfit made out of real diamonds, but not all of. I feel like there's other different methods that looks really interesting. That outfit.
Oh yeah, they're synthetic now. Why wouldn't I just get
Yeah.
That's been one thing. So my brother's vegan. I'm not. But we've been talking about lab-grown meat and how we feel about that, and I was like, I'm probably okay with it. If it means that you don't have to slaughter animals.
I heard. Yeah.
Now, what else does that open up is the question, in that context. But if they're really honest and it's like, no, you're good. Like, we built this and we're fine. I think the sustainability is important. I don't think enough people think about it. Things like electric cars and recycled materials and stuff like that. I think that is important.
Yeah.
And I think that clothing and art is a great way to make that, at least put the conversation in people's heads.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I'm doing everything I can to, of course, to fulfill my dream, get out there, but at the same time help.
Yeah. So where can people find you as far as your work and what you do, like social media, YouTube, anything like that?
Of course, on my social media, you can follow me on my Instagram, Hummingbird, hummingbird.hef, stands for high-end fashion.
Okay.
TikTok, hummingbird.hef.
So Hummingbird HEF on everything, and so you're gonna be featured at LA Fashion Week. Is there like a live stream or anything like that for that? Do you know?
Sorry, the live
for LA Fashion Week? Like, is there gonna be a way to see that, or are you just gonna post it?
That's a good question.
We'll get back to you on that. I'll post. I'll look
if not, then I'll ask my sister to do live.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
So
That's a good question.
Thank you for doing this, though. Happy birthday! In case I don't see you.
Yeah.
I would say good luck, but I don't believe in luck, and I know that you're going to do great at LA Fashion Week. I know you're going to do it, so just I know you got it.
We're going to do so well.
Oh yeah, I'm confident.
All right,
thank
you so much.
Thank you guys for listening. Thank you for being introduced to this whole thing. This was a great talk. So, peace, guys. Appreciate it.